This is a demonstration of the Wellness and Safety platform, both within the Planet High School view as well as Arbiter Athlete. So once you've logged in, you're going to click Wellness and Safety. It's going to bring you to your main screen within the Wellness and Safety platform, which is currently set on the injuries page. Just a brief navigation here. When you're in the Wellness and Safety platform, this box over to the far right that has 3 small white boxes within it will be your navigation or menu options within Wellness and Safety. So anytime that you're on a page or anywhere within the system and you want to navigate to another section, simply click this box and it'll show you your options on where to go to within the Wellness and Safety. So just to start, you can search and look at injury reports based off of date ranges. Eventually, you'll have more search options. Currently, this is what you're able to do to look for your injury reports. If you'll notice here, you see several colors on the page. Green means that there is a full status, so that athlete is allowed to participate fully in practice. Should they not be full participation, their status would then be a limited, which is going to show in a yellow color, or an out status, which is going to show in red. And then other statuses currently show in blue, and this eventually will change back to a white color for an other or a maintenance status. You can also sort by doing the dates occurred, or if you want to sort by the athlete's names, you can do that as well. To view a current injury report, you simply hit the View button. So we're going to come down here to this particular case, and we're going to hit View so we can view this injury record. And it's going to go to the page. It's going to show an overview of the athlete's information from that injury report. So as you can see here, you're going to have your athlete's basic information at the very top of the screen. You'll have your history indicators. Should they have anything selected within their medical history sections that are a yes answers to any of the questions that fall within these different sections, they will then be showing in red versus a green color. And if you need to, you can simply click on the indicator if it's red. So let's say that the heart status was in red. You simply click on the heart symbol and it's going to take you to the pre-participation physical history form for you to go through and view the answers that they selected there, so that way you can find more information to that history indicator. So that is a nice feature to have within the system. Below that, you're going to see your injury details right here, starting with the date of the occurrence, what their participation status is, and then team that they were on when the injury occurred. And then in the middle, you're going to have your nice selections laid out for you. Very simplistically, so you can kind of do a brief scan of what you have entered when you initially did that report. At the bottom of the page, you're going to see your notes sectioned out here. As you add your notes, they're going to continue to add into this box. I'll show you how to do that here momentarily. And below your notes, you're going to have your photos or any files that you may have uploaded. So this here would be essentially the images that would have been taken immediately when it happened, and then additional x-rays were added later on to this particular record, so that way you can keep track as we go throughout. If the athlete provided further imaging later on down the line, you could then simply add those photos by doing the add upload when you go to edit the record. So let's say we're on this for our overview and we now have new new images or new files that have been sent to us, as well as we need to update the player status. Down at the bottom, you'll see that there's a injury history. So you'll have a running injury history for that athlete's injuries throughout the year. We simply can see right here that this is the most current injury on top right now. They still have a status of out, so this would be what we're looking at currently. And we're going to just hit edit, and that's going to take us into the actual injury record. So that way we can add our files and photos that we may need to. And you can simply go to General and add any notes that you would like to, or Photos. And if you need to select photos to upload or files to upload, you can do that here by simply selecting Select Photos. And then it will then take you to your files within your computer system if you're doing this on your computer. And if you're on your phone, it'll take you to your gallery or ask you if you would like to take an image with your camera. So you'll have those options there. You also now have save and stay or save and leave options, or let's say you go in to make an edit and you realize, don't really need to do any edits. I'm not really sure why I clicked in here. You can simply cancel and it will take you back out from editing that particular record. To do a new injury, simply click the new injury button. And it's going to take you through a step-by-step process to select the team. As you move through, if you were to select something and then hit save and either save and stay or save and leave, particularly the save and leave, it'll prompt you if you have not completed something that needs to be completed before it can save the official record. So once we've selected our team, we can now come to our athlete, and it's going to show the athletes that are pertinent to that team. Simply come down and we can select who we need to for the actual injury record. General, this is going to be the section where you're going to add your notes and their participation status. So if they're going to remain at a full participation status, you can leave that, but you also have the option to change it to a limited out or any other status that you need to make it at the time. It will automatically pre-populate to the date that the injury is occurred as today's date. If you are filling out an injury report for an athlete, and let's say the injury happened at another date and time, simply click in the date field and it's going to bring up your easy calendar options for you to navigate to be able to select the date that the injury actually occurred on. Your next tab will then be Photos. Again, you can select photos from your computer. If you do this on your phone, which I will pull this out so I can show you what that view will look like. If you do this on your phone, you will have a smaller screen. And it will simply look something similar to this, and you will now notice that you have the navigational tabs at the top. Instead of seeing your menu off to the right-hand side of where you need to go to next, you simply hit next or previous if you need to go back and forth amongst tabs. So we'd simply hit next, and it's going to take us to our injury status. This is the status of the actual injury itself. So did it just happen? Is it ongoing? Was this an illness issue, or is this a maintenance issue? So if they were to have an injury from, let's say, last year, and you're creating this report because they're going to come in and start doing some maintenance work with you. Let's say their ankle started bothering them again. It's not necessarily acute or a chronic issue, but it's something that they do need to come in and do maintenance upkeep with you. You can select that right here. So we simply are going to move forward and go through next. This injury occurred, let's say other, because it is a maintenance issue. And it's going to be, let's say, their lateral ankle. So we're going to scroll down to ankle. We have several choices to choose from. They're in alphabetical order. Eventually, there will be smart predictive features for this. So I'm going to go ahead and make this screen large again, so that way we can see everything that we have available to us. Eventually, when the smart predictive features will be implemented, you would then select the anatomical site, and then it would take you through a series of other questions to help narrow down what injury type options to show. And so we've selected our anatomical site. We're going to come here to injury type. And so with those smart predictive features, let's say you did select ankle and we had those in place now, you would then see injury types that are only pertinent to the ankle and the options that you selected after selecting ankle. So then you would see something as ankle sprain or a type of fracture that's, you know, pertinent to the bones in the ankle or the foot versus seeing all of the options right now. But currently you'll see a fair list of options to choose from. I will also mention that in one of our next updates, you will also see that these lists will be editable. That means that you'll be able to change your options, add or delete options, or let's say you entered something in and then you came back and realized that there was a spelling error. You could edit it and simply, you know, update the name to accurately reflect the correct spelling. So we're going to come down here and we're going to select, we had an ankle sprain at some point in time. And go on to our next. So the helmet brand is an option that you'll see for the time being. Eventually this will be one of those smart features that if you were to select football and to select concussion or head injury, you would then see the helmet brand pop up for you all to be able to keep track of what types of helmets your football players are in when they sustain some type of head injury. That way you have numbers for the end of the year and just some more data for you guys to really look at when viewing particularly your concussion injuries. You then have your injury cause here. Again, some of these, so you'll notice it says medical event. When we do the layering and smart features, eventually you'll just see medical event, and if you select that, then you'll have these options to choose from. But currently they're all listed out for you. In a broad overview. So we're just going to simply say from a fall here, and then our playing surface, let's say it was a grass field. And then our initial treatment options, we're just going to redo an evaluation, and we're going to do some ice, and that's good for the time being. So once we hit save and leave, it's going to then save our record and take you back to the overview, and we can now see here that Ms. Hopkins is showing up with a maintenance in a site of an ankle. One of the other new features that you'll see in one of the next releases is going to be that there'll be headers for the sport, so then the team and sport would then not show up within this view because it would be sectioned as a header, which would allow the rest of this information to shift over, and there will be a coach's notes section for you to enter coach's notes. That way from the coach's view, they can see the colored outlay as to, you know, who's full, limited, or out based on the color coding system, but any particular notes you want to add to a coach. So let's say that they're a limited status and you want to put in there no upper body lifting, but is allowed to do jogging and lower body activities. You could then put that in the coach's notes section, and then they would be able to see it. So that is an update that will be coming a bit later down the line. So that's the injury overview page and how to do an injury report. To navigate away from this particular page, let's go and look at our treatment options. So one of the things that athletic trainers do constantly on a day-to-day basis is see your students come in for treatments and rehab. So we really kind of set the system so you can have a one-to-one ratio. So one of the things that I like to do when I'm running my training room is to hit the start treatment session, and it's going to open a brand new window, and this is really where the student athlete will log in. Once they log in, they're going to get a little pop-up window that says thank you for logging in for your session. So that's really nice. They have an option to, as you can see, log in by their student ID. So if your school does a student ID number they'll be able to have the option to log in by their student ID numbers from within the system. They will also be able to log in with their last name and their date of birth. The easiest way to do that is just to start typing in the date, but if you want to use the calendar feature, that is an option that you can use within the system. We are currently doing an update to accommodate for the circumstances, should you have them, if you've got a student athlete that, let's say they're twins and they have the same last name and the same birth date, obviously, those will then show a drop down of the two different names of those particular individuals that have the same last name and the same birth date. So that is an update that we have recognized and taken feedback on. That way we can accommodate everything that you might see. So for demonstration purposes, let's go ahead and show you what that login looks like. So we're going to type in, we're going to do Smith, and we're going to go 01. So here's an example of that message that you would see if they're going to have the same last name and birth date. So let me see if I can find one that we can do an example of. So once we've entered in their name and the date of birth, we're going to hit enter. And you can see here now that this athlete now has several options to choose from to log in for their treatment session. So the requirement is they have to select at least one option, but they can select as many items as need be. So we all know we're going to have those student athletes that are going to come in, and they're going to be doing treatment for an elbow, an ankle, a shoulder, or let's say they have a new issue that they're going to come in for. So what they're going to do is they're going to check off whatever items that they're actually going to be doing rehab for that day and treatments for that day or that particular session. So we're going to select, well, we'll select shoulder and ankle here. I will tell you right now, when you do new injury or new maintenance item, that's going to start a new record or injury record for that particular injury. One of the features that we will be adding is once they select new injury or new maintenance item, it will prompt the athlete to select a body side and an anatomical site for what they're coming in for. That way you can have some information in the system and pre-entered into that new injury record for you. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue. And once we hit continue, it's going to take us back to that main login screen, and it's going to give a nice little green pop-up window here that says Brandon Tanner has started his treatment session. So if we come back to the tab that you're going to use as the athletic trainer and look at your treatment log, which when you hit treatments, it takes you automatically to the treatment log. We're going to see that Brandon Tanner signed in at on 11/9/17 at 11:47 Central Standard Time. Or that's actually set for Eastern Time currently. That's what the home site is set for their time frame. So it's going to match whatever time frame that you are that your state is set in. And you can see over here that the injuries are showing what injuries he's actually logged in for. If you want to see the injury, so let's say before you go to update your treatment that they did for the day, or you're trying to decide what treatments they're going to do for the day and you want to see information pertinent to the injury, you'll notice these highlight or light up or gray out when you're not on them, but light up when you are hovering over them. If you click on the individual injury, it's going to take you to the injury record. So you can actually see the injury record itself, but also if you were to need to edit the injury record, you can hit edit, and that would allow you to make any edits within the system, including updating the injury status. So let's say they've completed their treatment for the day and they're doing really good, and you want to change them to a full status now. You can hit edit. Or if you decide, hey, I really need to do an update and then send the report, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go back one screen here. And we're going to go ahead and edit this treatment session. So in order to do that, you'll notice you have all your navigational buttons will be pretty much the same throughout the system. So in order to view a record, you just hit view. In order to edit, you'll always be able to hit edit. And then if you're viewing and you want to edit, you'll have an edit option within the view. So the first thing I want to point out to you within the treatment session, when you're going to edit and add what you're doing for that actual treatment, you have two tabs here at the top because Mr. Tanner signed in for two different injuries. So when the tab that's highlighted is brought up, you are editing the treatments that are done for that particular injury. So this would be for his particular shoulder injury. This allows you later on down the line that you can go back and see how many treatment sessions they came in for that shoulder injury. Same thing if I go over here to the ankle, I'm editing treatment information for just that ankle injury. And this allows you to keep your treatment sessions separate. It helps with legal issues, so should anybody come back later and say, you know, I want to see all the treatment sessions and what you have been doing with the student athlete pertinent to this particular injury, you now have a way to keep track and look at that information for just that specific injury versus other systems that have you select multiple sites and multiple types of treatment in one view. So this allows you to have that one-to-one ratio. The next thing I'll point out to you is, again, if you need to view the injury report, you have this feature on every single treatment session page to be able to view that injury report. So if you were to click that, it's going to open a brand new tab that lets you view the injury report. And then again, you have your same options. So if you need to make an edit within this injury report as you're going through your treatment session, you can simply click that view report and it'll open the new tab, and then from that new tab you can make whatever changes and then easily go right back to your treatment session. So that is also a nice feature to have. So going down the page, you're going to be able to check these boxes. On the next update, what's going to happen is on the backside within the system, it'll pre-populate these boxes that have already been answered within the injury report itself. So since those have already been checked off in the injury report, once you sign in for a treatment session, these will then be pre-populated. So that'll be something that's coming up on the next release. So we're doing with his left shoulder today. So we're going to scroll down here. There's, again, all of these options preloaded in. They eventually will be dwindled down to a smaller list and then kind of nested or layered for you to choose from that point. The next section that we're going to come to is a modality section for you to have the option to select whatever modalities that you have used for that day. So let's say we did a game-ready treatment and we did some E-stem for this particular individual. Manual therapies. You have these options pre-built in. Moving down the line, you're going to have the option to edit these sections as well. And that editability will be done on a campus-by-campus basis. So if a large district has this for all schools within the district, it's not done at the district level, it'll be done at the campus level. So anything that you and your individual athletic training partner might want to change for your particular campus, you'll be able to see that within your two profiles. Same thing with all of your exercises. So let's say we did some joint mobs today. We're going to come down here. We did some circles. We did the price program. Let's say we did some progressive resistive. Let's say, so I'm just going to select a couple of different options here that we may have done within a treatment session for the day. and come down here. There's a separate section for just concussion issues. Again, all of these sections will be editable, so you can add in whatever you would like within each section. If we used any particular equipment, so this right now is a nice way to quickly keep track of anything that you may have used or given to the individual athlete during the treatment session. Eventually, this is going to link into another system. We are going to have an equipment platform for you to keep track of all of your equipment, and everything from your medical athletic training equipment to sports equipment. So eventually, if you issue out equipment, you can issue it to that individual athlete and keep track of a serial ID number or anything like that from within this section right here. And then there's also another section right now. So let's say you've done several treatments and you now decide, okay, things are not progressing. We need to go ahead and do a doctor referral, or if you did a reevaluation or you created a SOAP note or did any type of wound care, you'll have the option to select that as well. So down at the bottom, we have a section of notes for just coaches, as well as private medical notes. So these would be notes that you would want the coach to see. So once the treatment report is sent out for the day, these would be notes that the coach would see in that treatment report. And then you also have a section for private medical notes for you to keep track of things that just you and the other athletic trainers might need to keep track of within the system for that day. Again, you have your same options for save and stay or save and leave. So we're going to save and stay. And then if we were to come back up to the top of the screen, we would then check our next treatment that we need to fill out, and we're going to take care of that quickly. We'll just go ahead and select a few options here. Let's say we did a little bit of combo. Say we did some cupping. And once you have filled out the information for at least one treatment session, the next time Mr. Tanner logs in for these two particular injuries, that treatment session will automatically pre-populate those different fields that we selected within the system. So that way all you would have to do is, let's say nothing's going to change for a few days. They've logged in, all of these different treatment specifics are going to show up, and then if you do need to make a change, you'll be able to simply hit edit, and you can add or take away any of the options that were previously checked off. So it'll always kind of pre-populate based off of the most current update for that treatment session. So again, so if Mr. Tanner logged back in later on this afternoon, that treatment session would reflect all of the exact same treatment specifics that we have put in the system for this morning session. And then you would just need to update whatever you may have done for those treatment sessions. Once we're done here, so the other option would be to do a SOAP note within the system. So I'm going to go to my menu drop down here, and I'm going to select SOAP notes. And from within the SOAP notes, you're going to see a similar layout. So we don't have any current SOAP notes that were done for this time frame, so from 11/6 to 11/9. So add a new SOAP note. We're going to come in here, and your general tab is going to be your basic information for an injury report. And the reasoning behind that is we foresee an athletic trainer coming in to do a SOAP note on an individual athlete, and let's say they had an injury that occurred and they're filling out their SOAP note and doing their evaluation on this athlete, and the circumstance was that they took a hard hit, let's say in football, and not only did they hit helmet to helmet with this particular player, but when they made contact with the ground, they had an AC separation. So with that being said, when you go to fill out your SOAP note, this general tab, you would fill out all the appropriate information for the injury and include both said injuries. So we're going to, let's go ahead and fill this out. So we're going to say it's an acute injury. This happened, let's say, during a game. We were playing on a turf field. And let's go ahead and select, we'll go, so the way the system works best is to start typing in your student name and then to choose from the drop-down list. We're going to select yesterday's date as the injury date. And we've got our options here that we're selecting. So contact from another person. We also had contact with a playing surface. So for right now, it's going to ask us to do a single selection. So contact with another person. Let's say it is their right side. And we had, let's say, the lateral side, as well as, lateral works. And then our anatomical site, for this particular case, we have a head injury, but we also have an AC joint issue. So we're going to come down here and we're also going to select two different injury types. And we've set it this way so that way eventually when you fill out a SOAP note, you will eventually be able to create injury reports from that SOAP note. So you'll have a direct relationship between an injury report and a SOAP note. And it will be a SOAP note could pertain to possibly multiple injury reports, but an injury report would only pertain to one SOAP note. So we're going to select concussion, and then we're also going to select sprain here. For our two options, and since it is football, we'll just go ahead and say they're in a, we'll go a Rydell Speed Classic. So we're going to save and stay just to kind of get the preliminary information in. And then we're going to go to our subjective tab. So onset would have been 1 day out because this happened yesterday. We're filling out the information today. And so you have options for their type of pain. If there's anything currently that is not listed, you have an other box to type in. Again, as I mentioned in the other sections, these lists will eventually be editable, so you'll be able to add, delete, or make changes to the pre-existing lists here. So let's say we have an ache. And they can rate their pain for their pain scale, so we're going to say a 5. If there's any radiating pain, they have that option to select, and then you have a text box. If you do select yes, you can make notes about where that radiating pain might go to. We have options here for what makes it better, so we're going to say rest and ice. You also have an other text box, and then what aggravates the issue. So right now, any activity. And then you can put down here your patient's description of the injury. So I'll put in here. And we can simply come back up to the next tab. Note if we see any edema, there's none. Any ecchymosis, there's none for the time being. Any changes in their skin appearance, aside from any ecchymosis, so their skin appears normal. You have your options to select temperature, pulse, BP, and I am also going to add capillary refill on here. So we're going to say right now it's normal, let's say 98.6. We used Fahrenheit. Let's say their pulse for the time being right now, say is 62. And we may have not done a blood pressure for the day, but let's say it's we'll go 102 over let's say there is a palpable deformity, normal gait pattern, and then we can come back up to the top and go to our assessment. Currently, right now in your assessment, you're going to see a lot of options for your manual muscle testing and then also for your special tests. So one of the other things that we will be updating for the Smart Predictive Features is once you select these options on the General tab, so for concussion and for, let's say, AC separation or AC sprain, when you get to your assessment tab, eventually you're only going to see testing that is pertinent to the particular body part that you are looking at. So manual muscle testing, you would only see types of range of motion that are going to be pertinent to, let's say, the shoulder, and possibly neck, since we do have concussion checked there. And then also your special tests down here, you would only see special tests that are pertinent to concussion as well as AC injuries. So currently right now you see a large list and selection of your tests that you're going to use on a most day-to-day basis until those smart filtering predictive features are built out. But you will definitely have that option later on down the road where things will narrow down to only show the tests that are pertinent to that injury type. So just looking at these right now, you have simple drop-down lists for you to select your scoring for you to choose from. And then for the special tests, right now your options are positive and negative. Eventually, I do see the option of you being able to select once you hit positive to make the distinction of what type of a graded like particular sprain is. So grade 1, 1+, 2, 2+, or a 3. I do see those options coming down the line. So after you've made your selections down at the bottom, any additional notes that you want to make about your assessment, you have the option to do so down here. So if you want to explain something a little bit more in depth or detail, you always have a text box option down at the bottom. And then for your plan, you have initial treatment given. So you're going to see your same options here that you're going to see within the injury report. That's so there's easy crossover. Eventually, yes, if you want to update these, whatever options you edit in any of the lists, as long as the headers match up to other headers within the system. So like I mentioned on the injury report, there's a section that's initial treatment given. If you were to update this list and add to this list here within SOAP Notes, it would be reflective throughout the system and also show up in the initial treatment given section for your injury report. So initially, we did a physician referral for the concussion. We iced for the AC sprain as well as used a sling. And then we're going to hit follow up on next day treatments, and then we're going to start the concussion protocol. And then any additional notes that you want to make down here, if you have a specific physician that you referred to, or any notes that you want to put in here for when you talk to the parent and you had specific notes you want to make on that, you can save that here as well. When you're done, you can simply hit save and leave, and it's going to save that information for you. And then your record will then now show. This is the one section that currently your view and edit are the same for the moment. Eventually, when you hit view, you'll have the same view option and layout as you do for your treatment and your injury reports. So those are your options for your SOAP notes. One thing I do want to make note of, let's go back to injuries. I didn't know if I mentioned this earlier, but if we are viewing this particular injury, and let's say you want to send the report to either a physician or to the coaches specifically or to the parents, you can simply hit send report, and it's going to give you options that are anybody that would be tied directly to the student athlete within the system. You have those options to choose from. But if you wanted to send it to somebody that is outside the system, so let's say you have a team physician that you want to send this to that does not have an account with us, that's perfectly fine. You can enter in their email address here, and it will shoot them an email with a secure link for them to select, and that link will bring them to this page. And this page will only be the overview information. So anything that you've checked off, any attachments you have, so on the case that I showed you earlier that had all the images down here at the bottom in the specific notes, it would simply show them that page. They cannot go anywhere else within the system. They cannot do anything to the record itself, but it does send them the link to be able to view the actual page and not do anything else within the system. So you will have that. As always, you have an audit log, so you can click audit log and see what changes were made. So right now I don't have any audit log entries for this particular record because it hasn't been audited yet, or an edit has not been done, but had there been anything, it would show a list of the date and time of who made the audit to the log or to the record itself, as well as the person who made the edit, and then any notes that would be associated with it. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is for your treatment session, as well as eventually for the injuries page as well, you will also have the option to send out your treatment sessions, both manually and also to set up some auto send times as well. So let's say you want to do an auto send feature that regardless of what you're doing, let's say the treatment log gets sent at, well, let's say 10 o'clock in the morning as well as, let's say, 6 in the evening. And those emails will be sent to those coaches that are directly tied to the individuals that came in that day. So they'll be able to see that they came in for treatments. And any of the coaches' notes that were put into those treatment logs for that specific injury, those coaches will be able to see that information just of what was written within the coach's note section. If you do a manual send between an auto send time, it will only send what has been updated or added since the last time that the emails were sent. And your auto send times, you will be able to set those yourselves. So it's not something that we're going to necessarily mandate for you. If you want us to preset some times in for you, we can do that. But you'll have the option to set up what times you would like those treatment emails to go out. And as I mentioned, eventually you'll have the option to do that for your injury reports as well. So that's kind of the brief overview at the moment for the wellness and safety. We do eventually will have those smart predictive features updated, as well as we have a new section that you will see will be a new platform, which is equipment, for you to be able to check out equipment. And that's not just sports equipment, it'll also include medical equipment within that platform. So quickly, I am going to show you eventually, I think towards the summer of 2018, our platform will change, the view will change slightly from what you're used to currently within the system. And it'll change to what's called Arbiter Athlete. And so the view for that is going to be really similar outlay as far as how you navigate to your different sections. But this will be the view itself. So you'll have now your large navigational buttons will be in the middle of the screen once you log in to your school page. You'll still be able to set your home page if you would like. So mine currently, when I normally log in, shows up on the Wellness and Safety page. So essentially you would just navigate to Wellness and Safety. And then all the features that I discussed today work and function the exact same way, just a little bit different layout, but your buttons and tools will be labeled the same, and they'll even look the same. It's just the page design itself will be slightly different than what you're currently used to within the system. So as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact myself. My name is Melissa Oakes. That's MELISSAOCHS at PlanetHS.com, or reach out to your representative that you deal with on your normal basis, and we'd be more than happy to get in touch with you and answer any questions or take any feedback or ideas or suggestions. We do love to build a product that you are going to enjoy and use on a day-to-day basis, and we love taking your input and actually implementing that into our system. So any feedback you have, we are all open for it. So thank you so much for your time today. Like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much and have a great day.